when you have all those things going for you and they're going well, it's easy to win. It's what does this team do when adversity happens? And unfortunately, it's like the moment that adversity comes into this game for the Carolina Panthers, whatever happens, things just don't fit, man. And they don't have a response. And to me, I spent a lot of time talking about this on X today. And number one, I know there's probably a lot of folks in the camp that are either going to be all in on firing Dave Canales today or Ejiro Evero, and they're going to tell you how to fan or what you believe. I'm not in the camp of he needs to be fired. Not yet. Like I just personally don't want to go that far yet, but I do understand folks that have the frustrations with what they are seeing. And I mean, he admits it as far as ownership, owning up to the Panthers not being prepared, but in a way, the way that he talks through this stuff in the post-game pressers, very PG PR responses that don't give us a lot. Same thing with Bryce Young. And it's more or less like when you have adversity, you need leadership that's going to reassure you that things are going to be okay. I mean, think about it. If you have kids and there's, an issue that comes up, you've been there, you've done that, you know how to work through whatever it is that's going to be coming up. And you're going to have to tell your kids, hey, trust me, this thing's going to be okay. We're going to figure this thing out. I've had to go through this. You're going to have to go through it. And I can promise you, you're going to come out on the other side. When you don't have that type of leadership here, or the players don't feel it or they can't buy in, and I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that the team is sold out or they don't believe in Canales, but in a way, it is a little disheartening. And I know they keep talking about in the locker room, backing Dave Canales, backing Evero, that we have to be a player-led team. I saw Derek Brown saying that, making comments in regards to this team, and that no matter what's called and where things are, you have to be in position, you have to perform well. Like, I do understand those things, but this team continues to just find ways to get blown out and not even be in the game. That's what is unfortunate for the Carolina Panthers to have a start the way that they did. And I know injuries come up, like Chandler Zavala going down. Guess what, folks? I hate to say it, but we kind of knew he has had a prolonged injury history here. And at some point, this was likely going to happen again. It's unfortunate that you're down to your third string guard that's coming up off of the practice squad that's not really meant for the moment. And then you bring in Brady Christensen later. Like, I understand all that. Every team in the NFL is going through something. Every team in the NFL is battling an injury or injuries. It's going to happen. And other teams figure it out. They figure out how to get the job done. And for the Carolina Panthers, it's very frustrating because it's just a never-ending cycle for fans to have to witness everything that's going on. So I'm actually going to change it tonight, and I'm not going to get too far down the line with my normal opening monologue. We are going to start jumping into some of the comments as we go through here. So T Green is in the camp of issues being with the coaching staff. And I do buy into that. Like, whether it's the play calling on offense or defense, the lack of preparation on special teams drives me crazy. Like, we had a really fantastic week last week with special teams and the special teams unit. Again, outside of the muff punt, this team continues to show us how not to do special teams. And this has been a theme with Tracy Smith since he's been the special teams coordinator. Like, going back to last year, numerous times where the team is not prepared, they make mistakes, they can't cover, they don't understand the situation. I don't know how you look at how they lost contain. That punt return touchdown was a game changer. And I'm not here to say the Carolina Panthers pull off this win if they contain that, but I do think momentum shifts. Like, to a certain extent, things do shift around for the Carolina Panthers in a way. You never know what happens. You start to build up momentum on our side. We're moving the ball. Of course, you're not playing a fantastic game, but things are going in your favor, but then the wheels fall off. And that's the problem with this team right now, is when that moment happens where something bad, they get down. It's like their ability to battle back isn't there. As T Green says, we have to keep pounding, which would be true. Appreciate you, Lomax. He said, hit that like button. And if you guys are tuned in on YouTube, please hit the like button. If you're watching wherever you are, come over to YouTube, hit the like button. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. Tux Key just said, oof. I'm going to assume that's just oof in regards to the performance that we saw today, because this did come in before we went through our crazy stuff earlier. But I do think, I do agree, man. Just oof all around. T Green, we have to be better. Scratches the arm. We got a lot of issues here, man. We really do. And I don't know that there are solutions. And one of the things that I was looking at before I came on the show was teams in the NFL with winning records right now. And you look at all the teams that have a winning record in the NFL, not a single one of those teams has a quarterback that's a rookie or a second-year starter. So you're seeing a lot of veteran players on teams leading them. Now, you do have some Liam Cohen instances where you've got a rookie head coach or a new head coach or newer head coaches leading the charge for their teams and being able to pull this off. Where this is going to go, and we'll probably get into it at some point, but might as well bring it up now. I don't know how the comments are going to flow. I know there's going to be a lot of talk, and it's going to continue to happen about Bryce Young. And with the pace that the Panthers are going on now, if they cannot figure it out, sitting at 1-3, I mean, if they don't figure this out, picking within the top 10, maybe the top 5, who knows how far up this goes, depending on how they lose and how they perform. There is a potential for them to be able to draft the quarterback, but I continue to feel like this team is not ready for a quarterback. Just my opinion right now. I don't care who you plug in there. And I mean, I think you could even go out and pick up any quarterback you wanted in the NFL. Now, maybe if you get a top 5 quarterback, you get another win or two, maybe 3 above what they have today. But for me personally, I don't think the Carolina Panthers are in a position to bring in another quarterback. So if this holds, like that's what I have to keep saying, because we go back and last week was okay. I think one of the things that I saw somebody post, and it might have been Julian Council for Locked On Panthers. I can't remember. There's so many posts that go on during the game. I think there was a statistic about Bryce Young's passing yards as a starting quarterback for the Panthers and just how underwhelming the passing attack has been. And I fully agree with that. I think we all thought drafting Bryce Young, there would be road bumps and roadblocks along the way. But I think we all felt that the passing attack that he could or would provide, carrying over from what he did in college, would translate a little bit. His smartness, his ability to read and react to the defense, like size aside, I think we all thought we were going to get a much better passing attack than what we've gotten. And now we're creeping up on a quarterback that's pushing 150 to 180 and just not getting it done. And the game wasn't competitive, so I don't know how much we read into it, but there were opportunities for some plays out there today. Missed timing, missed connections between him and Tedero McMillan quite frequently. And just some other ones where Bryce isn't able to get the ball down to his target. It's a tough day, man. A tough day for Panthers fans. Let's keep the comments rolling in through here. Mike says, what's Gucci? What is Gucci? I don't know what's Gucci right now, man. I don't really know what in the world is Gucci outside of Gucci Mane at the moment. Do not know. 704 represent. Do appreciate Green, T Green. People have lost their minds. They really have. Let's see what we got going on here. Emilio says, am I a fake fan for turning? No, you are not. Any fan that willingly chose to turn the game off or go watch another game or enjoy life, you are not a fake fan. And this is kind of where you get back to all the talk about, number one, I think sometimes, like, we as Panthers fans look at, I mean, there's not a good way to put it, but you look at some of the voices of Panthers past is like these, I mean, almost like biblical legends for this team. So, what Steve Smith Sr., Cam Newton, different ones, Luke Kuechly, you put them, Thomas Davis, Jake Delhomme, whoever your people are, Greg Olsen, kind of put them in a tier above, is like, this is the direction and what they say, and we funnel through them. But we're the fans, we're the ones here having to sit back and endure this every single week, and it just hasn't gotten better. And I mean, think anybody's getting fired, but we saw Tepper pissed off after the game as he was going back through the tunnel, and they posted a clip of him walking back. I don't think we're in the territory of firing or coaching changes just yet, but you do scratch your head and wonder, where in the world do we go? And so I would say no. If you are a Panthers fan that chooses to spend your Sundays free from this mess, especially when things get out of hand, I don't blame you, because for me and us, once it got, I don't know if it was the third quarter, if it was after halftime, it got to a certain point where I just put the game on my phone and we went for a walk, and I just watched the rest of the game on my phone. I was like, there's no point of even worrying about live tweeting what's happening. It had to be the fourth quarter, didn't matter, but I was like, this thing's falling apart. I'm just going to watch it on my phone, go out and try to do something with the family. So yeah, I don't blame you at all, or anyone else that wants to do that. Man, good gosh almighty. It's a mess out there. It really is. Tux Key said the tide of the game turned in the 3rd and 10 play. The second possession totally took the foot off the gas pedal in New England territory. I agree that you go back to the play calling, and I think that was one of the bigger things. So I tweeted earlier when the game was competitive and not out of hand. You look at what Dave Canales chose to do, and it's hard for me right now because I don't have the place in front of me to script and tell you exactly when it happened. But there was a sequence there early on in the game where the Panthers and the play calling put themselves out of field goal range. So they're right there on the edge, and they even called it out on the broadcast. And I do think that also is a big reason. Like, you have to get, like, I get it, it's 3rd and long, probably not going to get 10, 11, 12, 15, whatever the number is. But if you can get 4 or 5 yards, if you can get a little bit closer to put yourself and give yourself an opportunity, and you look at that, because then the Panthers end up having to punt and turning into a punt return touchdown, and then following that up later in the game with another big touchdown. Speaking of which, oh man, where did it go? We had the stat up here. I was looking at it earlier for his returns, and I don't know why it didn't pop up with some of the post-game stats that they put on NFL Pro, but I don't know how you don't kick away from him. I just don't understand anything. But those are pieces, and those are things Dave Canales as a head coach has to be teaching this team, that it is okay. Number one, we've talked about, okay for an incompletion, okay to take a sack. There was one where I thought Bryce, it might have been the one where he spun out. I don't remember. I think that was the only one, but where he goes down, and I'm like, well, thank goodness he at least didn't lose the ball, because we've seen him lose the football numerous times when he gets in that mode, when he's getting close to the ground and he gets careless with holding the football. Luckily, that didn't happen. But as the head coach, you have to teach your guys that it's okay in this situation to only get 4 or 5 yards, and you also have to have a play call in place that does that. So understanding, like, sure, if it's there and you can get the first, take it. If not, take what they're giving you and give yourself an opportunity to get into field goal range to get points. Something that the Panthers really didn't do. Jairus Herman said, trade Bryce for Anthony Richardson straight up. Okay. I'll let people feel how they want to feel, but I'm going to have to veto that one. Like, I don't know that Anthony Richardson's going to give you much more. I don't know that his career itself in the NFL is going to give you much more. I understand it. I know there's a group of fans that wanted that, But I think that experiment, at least for now, seems to be over. I don't know that I'd push it, but you know what? If we're going in a world of just whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and you just want to see that at the end of the at the trade deadline, like, man, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it personally, but we'll see. Ryan said Derek Brown said fool's gold. He was absolutely right. Yep, it is. It's, you look at this team off of last week. Now the only upside, maybe if you want to call it upside right now, is just looking ahead. So there's a lot of bad teams right now, and I can see as I'm recording this, as we're live, that Green Bay's up over Dallas 13-2. You look at the stretch of games, and unfortunately, we were looking at this game as one of those stretch of games. But look at the games up next for Carolina: the Dolphins, Cowboys, Jets. I mean, you're talking about some bad football teams, some really bad football teams. If the Panthers cannot find a way to get 2 out of 3, we got a problem. So, I mean, sitting now at 1-3, I mean, last week they had us hyped to a certain extent. And I know some people thought, like, okay, maybe this team isn't who we think they are. But last week, sitting at 1-2, you're right on the edge. You're like, okay, maybe we can make a turn. Can we get to 500? Can we win back-to-back games? Can Bryce Young and the Panthers win a game on the road? That's the other thing. And he has not, and they have not been able to figure out how to win on the road. Bryce Young is a starting quarterback. Road wins. The Atlanta Falcons and the game in Germany. Atlanta Falcons last year in Week 18. This team doesn't know how to get it done. And I do think you have to put that part on Canales for the inability, man, to just be good. Like, and I maybe not even good, just be normal, just be decent. I think that's all that we're asking for, and we can't figure that out. So it's a freaking hot mess. Man, sad that Carolina is where they are in September. It is. So we are a quarter of the way through the season right now, and it's doom and gloom. It is, because what we have seen through 4 weeks of the season, like we talked about coming into the start of the show, are 3 really bad performances. Arizona was still a bad performance, even though they made the, semi comeback. And then a performance against the Falcons where it was, I mean, I know a lot of people were upset that people talked about the Falcons losing the game. The Panthers did more than enough. But in reality, the Falcons also didn't do themselves any favor. So we really haven't seen, and coming into this, that's what we talked about too, is like, we want to see this team in a close game, because there hasn't been a close game, and we really don't know who this team is. You don't have that opportunity to, it's so bad right now. Like, you just sit back and you're like, okay, well, there's another blowout. There's another blowout. I mean, I think by the second quarter, you pretty much knew going into the half, 28-6, all but over. I mean, the way that they were able to move the ball, as far as personnel too, and I know we'll talk about the stat line, there's a lot of concerns. I think we're hopeful, at least. And I kind of joked about Xavier coming back. I don't know what Xavier's going to bring. I think someone posted a clip of him walking into the locker room after the game, into the tunnel, passing by Dave Canales and not even acknowledging him. And I can't remember who posted that, so apologize. But you hope you get Jalen Coker. I don't understand how you don't at least, like, is Jimmy Horn Jr. that bad? What is the purpose of having him here at this point? If he is not good enough to be elevated, go ahead and cut him. And if someone wants to pick him up, well, I guess technically waive him off the roster. Somebody else want to get him? And if not, bring him to the practice squad. I don't understand the point of holding the roster spot, especially when we are in the position that we are, where Hunter Renfrow just hasn't looked anywhere close to, and I will take this one. He has not looked like I thought he could be or would be. I did think, and now I feel stupid, that maybe he could replace Adam Thielen, that he would be close to what we got out of Adam Thielen. It's nowhere close. And it's not a knock on him. I know he had 2 touchdowns a couple weeks ago, but it's not there. It's not the same. This team's just lost. And then Dave Canales talked about that. The team is lost. They're trying to find an identity. Well, folks, we're 4 weeks into the season and we're still trying to figure out identities. We're still trying to figure out how do we get prepared. And if you were the head coach of this team, which Dave Canales is, you got to sit back and just say, what is going on, man? Like, he talks about, well, maybe this isn't working. We feel like we're executing here. We're putting this thing together. Maybe I need to reevaluate. As the head coach of the team, you have to have full trust in everyone around you because you can't do anything. You can't do everything, and you can't micromanage these guys. These are grown men, talking about the players, but also the coaching staff. And if your staff can't get it done, if your staff can't get these guys prepared, I mean, some point, something has to give. And I saw a lot of people that have the belief that Dave Canales is going to be gone, Bryce Young is going to be gone, like both or one or the other. And I'll say this every week. And I'm going to have to keep saying it every week because it is very true. I am a person that still believes in Bryce Young, and I'm probably a little bit crazy for that, but I still believe in a little bit. Like maybe they can get there, but as we just continue to see it stack up, it's hard to believe it. And if you are the Carolina Panthers, I don't think there's any way that Dan Morgan, David Tepper, Dave Canales, as they would come together as a unit to make a decision, Brant Tillis could say, we firmly believe in Bryce Young at this point, and we're ready to give him $200 to $300 million. I don't see it. And so there's a lot to discuss. I'm not saying this game was on Bryce Young. I mean, box score wise, wasn't terrible, but we know like the box score doesn't paint the full picture. I don't know, man. If you're a Panthers fan, where you sit right now in this world trying to figure this stuff out, there's a good chance they possibly don't even pick up, like don't even decide to pick up his 5th-year option. I don't know. For me, I wouldn't. Maybe, I mean, you're going to have to get through the full season. That's the thing. Like, we're going to have to see this thing all the way through until the end to really be able to know where we sit and have some time to mull over it in the off season. But let's keep on track here. Ryan said maybe the Falcons game really was just a bad day for them because I think Penix, right? I mean, it was a bad day. That's part of it. Like, I will acknowledge that the Panthers played perfect game. They played a perfect game. Falcons played an imperfect game, probably one of the worst games you could have. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. But yeah, I mean, Falcons able to take care of business. The Bucks fall. Saints semi look competitive for a little bit. Now, right there in the thick of the NFC South. So I don't know, man. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, Julian tweeted out. He said 22 out of 30 starts. Thanks for pulling that because I couldn't remember. Julian said, for those who don't know, we were referencing earlier in the show a stat by Locked On Panthers podcast host Julian Council posted that 22 out of 30 starts for Bryce Young, he has passed for less than 200 passing yards. And we have acknowledged that, yes, you don't have to win games by throwing for 250, 300 yards, but I think we can all acknowledge that the passing game just isn't there. And it hasn't been able to get there. I mean, it's like week after week, game after game, we're going to see these spurts of 1 out of 4. I mean, I will acknowledge he didn't turn the ball over, but if we're being honest, he got lucky. Had a penalty that pulled one of the interceptions back. He got very close to throwing another interception. Like the ball was kind of getting batted around, and luckily it just fell a few times for him. So although no turnovers showing up for him from today, definitely not a solid performance. Bryce Young cannot. That's the problem too. We're going into year 3. you're going into year 3 and you can't get it done on the road. And this is now year 3 again for Bryce, and Dave Canales is second year head coach. You got to win games on the road. There's no way that you're going to be able to have a chance at your division, have a chance at the playoffs, or anything like that if you cannot figure out how to win on the road. That's one of the things as we look at Tampa Bay and their consistency over the last 4 to 5 years, they've been able to do that. And even in years where the NFC South hasn't been great, they've managed to figure out how to get the job done while everyone else around them crumbles, which is exactly what's happening here. Mitchell Wells says, I have no idea what's going on with this team. I don't either. I don't. I wholeheartedly do not understand how we can go from this week to week. I mean, the defense regressed back to what it was. We talked about the special teams. We talked about the offense. Like, for me, it doesn't help that David Moore goes out. Like, no, that's not a good thing. It doesn't help that Chandler Zavala goes out. Like, all those things compounded together. But even then, the team just it's kind of missing something. And I don't know when it's going to come on or if it's ever going to come on, which is why I think like they're going to eventually have to reach an ultimatum in this whole thing. I mean, just what it's insanity to continue to go out and at least from afar watch this continue to unfold. You look at a lot of situations for quarterbacks, and I probably cannot name them all right now, but a lot of quarterbacks that were in that year 3 window end up getting traded, got released, whatever. And we're talking about high end talent, or originally what was high end talent. NFL teams have to be ready to make tough decisions. And as much as they have or could have believed in Bryce, and again, I still do, but I think at some point you're going to have to bump into that. Say, okay, what are we going to do? All right, it's time to make this difficult decision. Like, that's why you are in the position that you are. I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, as you watch, you think about some of the quarterbacks that have had to move around, the trades that just didn't work out. At some point, got to make a tough call there. Mitchell said, not enough talent on offense to even definitively say if Bryce Young is or is not the problem. And I think that's what I saw some people talking about that too. And I heard people talking about, I think they were talking about it on the broadcast, just not enough talent to evaluate. And maybe that is one of the measuring sticks. If you think about it, like, not every season, not every team is going to be perfect, and not every skill set, every player is going to be the best at their position. And it's just not naturally always going to happen that way. And so eventually it's like, okay, well, what can you do with what you have to a certain extent? And that's where it's like, okay, like, I know that this, and this isn't there, but you've got this, and this, and then we can look across at other teams that are able to still find a way, not saying that it's perfect. It is hard to evaluate. And in a way, though, it did feel like the Carolina Panthers did more than enough to give us a chance to really evaluate Bryce Young this year. No one could have predicted Robert Hunt, Austin Corbett, and I know Cade Maye's kind of a lot of folks like Cade Maye's over Austin. But either way, 2 starters there. The regression with Xavier Legette and just him being out, like, that's a big one. Jalen Coker getting injured, Adam Thielen being like, there's so many things that compile together to where it is difficult, I think, to some extent, to try to like fully evaluate. But I still think that at some point, it's like eventually you're going to have to work with what you have and be able to produce with what you have. And does that go back to the play calling, the offense, not being able to exit? I feel like they were doing well early, getting out of the pocket, play action, little dink and dunk. Like, they were effectively and efficiently moving the ball down the field with a very nice mix between run and pass and getting Bryce in position to make some plays. I mean, it was effortless on that opening drive. It was, for all the University of North Carolina fans, it was like watching North Carolina who on their first drive and then think that the wheels fall off from there. Just I saw someone else tweet the opening drive, like, oh gosh, Dave Canales always executing on the opening drive or scripted drive, but from drives 2 through 10 or 12 or however many we have, it's like Frank Wright back there. And I had to laugh. I had to laugh at that to a certain extent. Oh man, yeah, this is a problem. Defense cannot get to the quarterback to save our lives. No, they can't. There technically was one sack recorded in this game, but it was a 0-yard sack. And I think it was the one where Maye got up into the pocket. Like, to me, that really, I mean, it kind of was, but it wasn't a true sack. That's an issue for this team. And it's kind of going back to, do you make excuses? Do you not? Between Nick Scorton and Princely Umanmielen being out there, I'll tell you someone that I'm not making an excuse for is DJ Johnson and his inability to contain, because that was part of the problem on the drive that the Patriots went down the field very early. The second time they scored their second touchdown, there were quite a few plays which New England executed really well, but there were a few plays that he just lost contain. And they got outside around him. And if you are on the edge as an outside linebacker, your job is to stay home, to force everything back inside. Do not let it get outside of you. I mean, if you can make the play, you make the play. The problem is when you crash in and you are reading whatever's going on inside and you go down in there, pop it up around you. Because in reality, you think about it, you may have a linebacker. Who knows if the linebacker's flowing and reading into something else, and then you're going to have your secondary. So there's not a lot of help behind you on the outside in that format. So not a good performance at all. And this team continues, like, yeah, just like you're saying, though, unable to get pressure. They can't. I mean, Drake Maye having all day in the world to stand back in the pocket and throw, pick and choose what he wants to do, scramble a little bit, hit the Cam Newton celebration, which I did see a long post by Carolina Blitz with his commentary related to why he did that as a Charlotte kid that grew up a Cam Newton fan. It was more of a nod to him versus like taunting us, and it was not meant like that from the way that he talked about it in the post game, which I didn't think it was. And maybe some people, oh, that's disrespectful. I'm like, well, the kid grew up here, man, and he watched Cam the same way that we watched Cam and all that. So he was a fan of him. So, and of course, he's going against him. I guess choosing to do it here is like, in a way, blasphemous for Panthers fans to see it unfold, but it is what it is. But that pressure, yeah. And it goes back to, we heard about you invested in this. We heard about your drafting, like it's just that continued cycle. Okay, well, who's going to be held accountable? Because we said last year we didn't get Evero enough. Now we're saying, okay, well, we got you some stuff. So are you just a bad evaluator? Are you bad at picking the talent that we need? There's no denying that we are missing. I mean, Pat Jones and DJ Woonem are great. So is Scorton. So is Umanmielen. But we are missing a true edge, like guy that can just get to the quarterback. Derek Brown, fantastic. But they're going to naturally go around him, run away from Derek Brown. Don't even get close to him if I'm scheming for the Carolina Panthers, because I want to get to their linebackers, our linebackers, that is, that can't tackle and can't make plays. Just a bad all-around day for the Panthers, no doubt about it. I'm going to try to make sure I get through as many comments on here as I can. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Tux says, I was hoping that Dave would use the play before the end of the half to test Bryce Young's arm if he could get it to the end zone. First of all, I fully agree with that. We'll talk about that in a second. But I also, watching that unfold with him choosing to call 3 timeouts to get the ball back with 12, they would punt with 12 seconds left. I was like, come on, man. What are we doing? Like, I get it. You're trying to chip away, and then you're going to go into the locker room and say, oh, man, we at least got 3 points, and it's 28-9. I wasn't buying it. I really. And the fact that they had to add, 2 or 3 seconds back on the clock, and then you just get a dump off play. Like, you go back and look at Bryce's stats, I bet half of them, wasn't half, but maybe 20, 30 yards came on that play to end the half. Pretty much meaningless yards because they're playing way back in the end zone. I do agree, though. As we got to that moment, I said they're going underneath. Bryce Young does not have the arm to get it. And this is not a knock on him, but I just said Bryce Young does not have the arm to get that ball to the end zone. Like, it's just not going to happen. It would have been nice to see an attempt, but that's a pretty good distance cover. I think the pass rush would have gotten there. But yeah, I am with you on that. Oh, man. Ryan said, I really don't think Canales or Bryce trust each other. And if that's true, it's really bad. Yeah, that's a great point. And a lot of fans are awesome. First of all, I mean, you may have Tepper that says that we are basement, whatever. It's like, nah, fans are pretty smart, man. We're not just your local nobodies that sit around and don't know anything about football. Like, we can see, we can evaluate, we can see what we see with our own eyes. And that's part of this. And I don't know what the rift is. And I will give a hat tip to some other folks that I try to stay pretty neutral down the path because I'm not one that likes to, you guys know, get too far into some of the theories about some of the players on the team and like ideas. But this is one, as you continue to see it unfold, and just naturally, some people were on this earlier, that there's something there, whether it's Canales does not trust Bryce Young with this offense, or they just don't get it together between the two of them. It feels like something. And there's some people may say, well, why don't you just bench Bryce Young in favor of Andy Dalton? And like, that's just not going to, I think naturally Dave Canales knows that's not going to work for where things are right now. But it does go back to what we talked about last week, like taking a few steps, that if this continues down the path that it is, and the Panthers should decide they're not going to part ways with Bryce Young, I would not be surprised if Canales did want to bring in a real veteran option to push Bryce. And I don't know who that is. This is getting way, way out there. But I do think there's something to be said. And if it's Dave Canales as the play caller that just doesn't trust, I can't remember who posted this, but they said either he doesn't trust himself as a play caller or he doesn't trust Bryce Young. It's one of the two. So naturally, something has to give. You're going to have to start letting him take a few shots, calling the offense, being more aggressive. I know some folks were very ticked off with the 3rd and 15, 3rd and 10 draw plays to Rico Dowdle. Like, fully on board with that. I think that's a great point. Romy said Bryce needs the correct coach. He needs the perfect O-line. He needs the best receivers, all-pro defense. For a first-round overall pick, he's a glorified game manager. Yeah, and I buy into those points. Like, I'm not fully all in on every single one, but I do agree with you. Like, what we saw last week, the performance by Bryce Young, he was a game manager. That's exactly what he had to do. He didn't have to go out and overperform or do anything crazy. He was able to go out and do what he needed to do and make it happen. When you have those things around you and you're not expected to be the one to consistently do it, and that's not a bad thing, but that's just where he sits right now in the NFL when we talk about his inconsistencies. Smooth Operator said Canales needs to either give up the play calling duties to focus on becoming the head coach he needs to be, or give up head coach to be a great OC. He's failing at a dual duty. Yep. I think that's a very valid point as well. And I know it was asked if he's going to give up play calling. I don't think he is. I mean, he made it, or at least right now. That's a good point, because even going back to the preseason and training camp, there were numerous reports of, and in some of these joint sessions, to where he only was focused on the offense. Like, he didn't really get to see the ones in the defense going up against the ones in the offense of the opposing team. And I can't remember if that was the Browns joint sessions or not, but it did come up. And I think that's true. I mean, like, that is a very valid point. as the head coach of this team, you need to know it all. You need to have everything. It's not to say that he's going to go out and call the defense. That's not his specialty. He is an offensive guy, so he's going to naturally stick to the offense. But there's just some things that he needs to do as a head coach. And we've seen head coaches be successful without play calling. I don't think he's going to give it up. But to the tail end of that, if he does not pan out here, I mean, I think he's going to be trending and putting himself in position to be an OC. Like, that's where this thing is going to be going. So I agree with that. Jones had 165 yards. Oh, look at that. Tom Brady, 12. Appreciate you tuning in, Tom Brady. 165 yards. I will hat tip to, I know we probably have some Patriots fans on here. I will hat tip to the Patriots for a total dominating performance. So don't get lost in the sauce. This is a Panthers podcast, but we will acknowledge the fact that the Patriots played well. And I can't even remember who there. You see so many things. Somebody said the Patriots are a bad football team and the Panthers are a worse football team. Like, I'm sorry, when you see a team get blown out in the Panthers the way that the Patriots did to us, and they're at 500, I don't know that I'm buying into that. That was a really good performance. I mean, it kind of goes back to how the Panthers played last year. Conte Lewis said Bryce really didn't have any help today. Not at all. I will believe that, or will like acknowledge that too. Like, outside of the tight ends that were really helping him, between Tommy Tremble, Mitchell Evans, a little bit of Bryson Tremaine, a little bit of Tedero McMillan, like, there really wasn't a lot of help. And again, it kind of feeds into the comment below with Jerry is saying the play calling is questionable. It's not good, man. It's not good at all. I think I'm going to be able to get up through all these comments. Appreciate you guys. If you are here on YouTube, please hit the like button as we continue to push this one out. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Ryan said, maybe Canales is just not a good coach, but he signed a big contract. Yep. I mean, we've talked about this. This is, in my mind, I feel like, I know a lot of people are like, hot seat. Canales is on the hot seat. To me, it feels like a situation where Tepper's like, well, you know what? I made that mistake. I mean, he's made some mistakes, multiple mistakes in his hiring. That's a whole different story. But maybe he's sitting here saying, you know what? I know what's happened when I fired midseason, when I fired early, and this and everything that we had to go through. In his mind, he's probably, and I've given him a lot of grief. I do think in all of this that he is back, like, probably still having those conversations in Monday meetings, but I don't think he's near as involved as what he has been or was in the past from our standpoint. So maybe in his mind, he's saying, well, I'm not involved with all this stuff. I'm way back here. I think this guy can do it. I still believe in him, and I'm telling him that every day, so I'm still going to give him an opportunity. But I do think the contract with 6 years, and he even acknowledged this too, like, that's a lot of money. And I know he's rich, like one of the richest owners, if not the richest, but I'm going to keep paying out all these buyouts. I'm sure that, like, eats at you a little bit, like, even if it's a few bucks to him, like, trying to cough up 30, 40, 50 million, whatever the guy's got left on his contract, because you have to pay for it. Not a fan. I agree. Like, spot on with that. Conte said, Coker keeps getting hurt. Yeah, Coker, and a lot of soft tissue injuries, a lot of injuries in general with this team. It is frustrating. I don't think I'm at the point of wanting to trade away Jalen Coker right now. I do want to see him get back, but man, it's wild. Roland McDonald, though, he's ready to go ahead and put Andy Dalton in, folks. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I only do one fantasy football league now. I used to do 2 or 3 or 4. We're down to 1. That's too much for me. I'm terrible at fantasy football, and my roster, I think 3 or 4 of the guys I originally drafted as starters are like out, not injured, and I think 2 or 3 are on IR. Not good to be on my roster right now. Part of the story, but my roster name dates all the way back to last season when Bryce Young was benched, right before he was benched, and the name of the team was Red Rifle, We Need You. I just never changed it. So maybe we do need a little bit of that. I don't think Andy Dalton's saving this either. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you've been there, you've done that, you've seen this story play out. That's why I think in the offseason, and I know Andy's got another year on the contract, but maybe in the offseason, that's where you'd see a more realistic decision, and that could be multiple decisions to move Bryce Young potentially. Again, I'm not there yet. But you move him and then you bring in another veteran or you bring in someone to compete. So we'll see. Reverend Saul, what's good, man? He said, what's up? Rough times to be a fan. Yes, it is. It is. Jerry said, Canales is for real an issue. His plays are super predictable and look flat after the very first drive. I do agree to a certain extent on that too. Like they just haven't figured it out. Again, in last week, they didn't really have to figure a lot of things out, and it looked not great last week. I don't know what the play is called, and I have no idea, but they run, and I haven't even done clearly not a scout or an evaluator or someone that's going to watch a ton of film. I'll watch the game. I'll go back and watch some clips, some highlights. But watching this team every week run that little cut back trap, whatever it is, right off the center to the left, is the most predictable thing. Now it's worked, but it's like, dude, how many times are we going to see that same exact play? It drives me freaking crazy. Jerry said, why did he even put in Dalton with like 5 minutes left? Yeah, it's a good question. I think it was more or less like, the game's over. We want to avoid injury. Let's go ahead and just put Andy in. And now I'm sure there's someone out there that's eating that up as like an opportunity to open up the door to bring Andy Dalton back in the lineup, because he did finish 5 for 6, 58 yards and a touchdown going up against backups, 9.7 yards per pass, compared to Bryce Young, who was 18 of 30, 150, one touchdown, and an 84 passer rating. So who knows? Oh, man. Ryan said, I can't get over Liam Cohen with the Jaguars being 3-1. I agree. And as weird and nerdy as he is, he's figured it out. Like his personality, at least from what we can tell, and I haven't listened to a lot of his stuff, but he's a weirdish dude. It's like, I don't know. Maybe you can have a little bit of weirdness and figure out how to do it as a coach. And I'm not saying Dave Canales is weird, but we know Dave Canales is just this happy-go-lucky, always positive person with these buttoned-up PR responses, at least from what we've been able to see. Jerry said, did someone say Coker got re-injured? No, he did not get re-injured. We were just talking through Coker's injury history. So we will find out about him, or an update this week. So we'll get find out when they get back to practice status and get through the injury report. We know we'll get an update from Canales tomorrow. There may be a question, I'm sure, that's going to ask, what this is going to, if he's on the mend, you would open up the 21-day window for him to be able to practice, and then you've got really 3 weeks. So I may be surprised if he's back. I mean, the Panthers would probably love to have him, but I don't know if he's going to be back and available and ready to go. So we'll get an update on that. Reverend said, my big puzzle, go look at some of the play breakdowns from last year. Some of the designs are really good, but most of those are passing plays. The running plays are just, it really is. And you go back, and this was an issue, but we kind of, maybe we didn't sweep it under the rug, but how about Dallas? Dallas Cowboys up over Green Bay. What is going on? I don't have that on, so I can't tell you. I don't know. But 16-13. You go back and, oh man, where are we going? See, I got myself sidetracked on that. Oh yeah, I know where it's going. When he was in Tampa Bay, they had one of the worst rushing attacks in the NFL when he was the offensive coordinator. But we kind of said, oh, okay, you know what? It's going to be all right. Maybe he didn't have the best player personnel group around him to get the run game going. And then he comes here and he preaches all about the run. We're going to figure out the run. We're going to make it happen. And now we see this, and it's run up the middle, off the left of the center, over your left guard, cut back over your left guard, run it up the middle, run it up the middle, run it up the middle. Okay, you know what? We're in a shorter yard situation. We're going to throw a wrinkle. We're going to pitch it out to the left, get 2 or 3 yards. It's not good, man. Got to figure something out that. Got to figure something about. I knew as Jerry said, I knew as soon as the punt was returned how the day was going to go. I just didn't think. Once that punt return happened, I don't remember. I think I had tweeted. I don't know. I mean, I know I posted a lot, but it was funny because I don't remember which. I think it was the punt. It was at some point. It's hard to remember, but I remember thinking, hey, Panthers are going to be putting themselves up in good field position. Maybe I didn't post this, but in my mind, I remember thinking, getting ready to talk about them having hopefully good field position and, doing this, and this. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I should wait to post something around this until I see the punt. Cause I was like, oh yeah, it could get blocked or maybe there could be a penalty, just whatever it was. You'd have them take it back all the way. That really was it. I was like, okay, this team's not going to be for real, man. Brad said, is everyone as tired of this as I am? Yes. Brad also said, Bryce isn't going to get any more help than he gets right now. He needs to elevate his play. I do agree. He's not going to get much more. I mean, you hope XL comes back. I don't know, man. You talk about, futures here. I don't know where XL's future sits right now. It does not look good at all. And I'm a big XL fan too. That's what's like, this team just regresses, man. And I hope, I'm going to try to stay optimistic. I hope it kind of balances out, but I don't know. Not sure it is. Drive, Dine, Discover says, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is when the coach does nothing to help anybody. Yeah, it doesn't help who's under center when you have Dave Canales back there reading off the Waffle House menu, trying to figure out which run is going up the middle, which shot we can take downfield every now and then. It's not. Oh man, not fun. Joe said, remember back in August when our biggest question was how many of our awesome wide receivers were going to keep their roster, where we were going to keep before roster cuts? What happened? That's a good question. Things have just fallen apart in that room. And it was a stout. It was a very good room. They battled. And here we are. Injuries piling up. They can't get Jimmy Horn Jr. on the field. XL doesn't know what he's doing. Mack, at least, he has some growing pains. Like I jokingly said, it feels like on like 25% of his pass catch attempts that he tries to do it with one hand. I'm like, dude, I get it. Some of them truly are unreachable, but I'm like, can we do 2 hands? Can we please attempt to put 2 hands out there to try to make a play? I don't think it would have mattered on some of them, but I agree that with the room itself, it's a mess. Team and staff needs a Reverend said the team and staff needs a real wake-up call. Evero getting fired tomorrow would be one. I'm with you, man. And I don't know if they're ready to pull the plug on that, but I do think it could be part of a tone setter. They're like, hey, we're not going to play around with this. I mean, what is most fascinating to me with Dave Canales is his ability, his decisiveness last year to bench Bryce Young. Whether you believe that, I just don't think Tepper was, there's no way you're going to go convince Tepper that you got to bench your number 1 pick that he wanted. That aside, Dave Canales' decision to do that after 2 weeks, after making a statement, going back and watching film, I don't know why And maybe there's a silent treatment happening with XL on the side, but I don't know why he is not more decisive as a head coach with some of these other decisions. Like that's what you have as the head coach of an NFL football team, you have to be the alpha. You have to let people know what's what, that you are in control, that it's your ship, that you're the one with the plan, you're the one guiding and steering. People have to believe that you know what you're doing, that you're going to get them to where they have to go. Otherwise, people are going to start to lose faith. And I don't know. Does that mean firing? Possibly. It doesn't make sense how you had every reason in the world. And I think it would have been acknowledged that from Evero's end that he didn't do a good enough job. You could have had every reason in the world to let go of him this past off season. Coming off the season as bad as it was, I don't know how you look at it and say, well, we're just going to get a few more guys in and we'll figure it out. We'll get back on track. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know. Maybe there is something that could be brewed up, and yeah, it's tough times. And Drive Dine and Discover said, well, good thing we traded away Adam. Yeah, and Adam Thielen hasn't been doing that much in Minnesota either. I was going back and might have been Keep Purring podcast. I think he tweeted out, Ben tweeted something out earlier about Adam Thielen and his stats. But yeah, I agree. It's a mess, man. Brad said, ever running that prevent defense all game. It is a mess. It is a mess. All right, folks, let's quickly, at least from my end, I wanted to hit a few summaries. Feel free to keep chiming in. We'll probably close it out here in just a few minutes. One of the things I was curious to see coming into this, and I always like to look, is the average starting field position. I felt that it was going to be very heavily favored for New England because of the punt returns. Now, the punt return touchdown doesn't count as a possession because you're scoring on the play, so you don't actually possess it with the offense. But the average starting field position for the Panthers was their own 27. New England's average was their own 38. So only an 11-yard difference. I thought for sure it would have been much, much different coming into that. Carolina Panthers drive summary, 11 total drives. Started out with a touchdown, 2 punts, missed field goal, 2 punts, and then it was the end of the half on the last attempt there. Turnover on downs coming out in the third quarter with the first time that they possessed the ball, a punt, another turnover on downs, and then a touchdown. Terrible day all around. For the New England Patriots, a punt to start, 3 touchdowns in a row, another punt, a touchdown, a punt, a touchdown, a punt. So, and then they had the end of the game, which was like, I mean, that was just them taking, running out the clock, taking knees. If you add it up, I did add it up earlier. So it was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drives. 9 drives that were actual drives. 9 total drives. Out of those 9, 5 of them resulted in touchdowns. Pretty good. 5 touchdowns. And then, of course, the special teams throw that one in there as well. That's not a drive, but it's a tough day. There's not a lot to celebrate. This is the other thing that I pointed out too as we were going through the game. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm not really here to celebrate the small wins, the small victories. Like, I'm just not. From a standpoint of us, like, oh, well, so-and-so executed so well in this play. I'm past it, man, because the team, the unit as a whole is not good. At least that's what they've shown us. And I don't know how they just find new ways to create adversity. They do it every week, and we as Panthers fans have become accustomed to it. It's ridiculous. It is a mess. you actually look back at the overall box score, and some of the stats favored the Panthers, but they possessed the ball. I think they ran 65 plays compared to 48 for New England, 21 first downs to 16 favor of us. Our third down efficiency, we were 5 of 14. They were 3 of 9. 5 yards per play. They had 6.4 yards, 197 to 203 passing. Really efficient day for Drake Maye. And how about the sack on Bryce Young by none other than Caleb Chasen, former Carolina Panther? That's just how these things work. And I get it. Panthers passed on him, let him go. He went to the Raiders last year, I believe, then bounced around as a free agent. But it just feels like the Panthers get some form of talent and they can't do anything. And I'm not saying that Caleb was going to be anything special here. But it's like Evero had an opportunity. He had a pretty decent season last year, like not off the charts, but it's just the way the Panthers roll. Panthers average 5.3 yards per pass compared to 10.7 on the side of New England. New England with 104 rushing yards on the day. The Panthers actually put up 129, believe it or not. David Moore with that 1 for 12, of course, injured right away. Stefon Diggs trying to look like prime Diggs, 6 for 101. Hunter Henry had 2 for 39. Hooper 1 for 24. They didn't really do a lot. I mean, you only had 14 receptions the whole game, 2 touchdowns, though. It was just efficient with the ball. 75 tackles total for New England compared to 57. I think that's pretty much. Let's see if we got anything else on there. A few more. Joe said, appreciate you giving us a place to vent. Always, man. Always welcome. Always happy to have any and all takes as well. There's never a right take, never a wrong take, in my opinion. Whatever Panthers fans feel, you feel it. You want to bench Bryce Young, bench him. If you want to fire Dave Canales, fire him. You want to fire Evero, fire him. And whatever the thing is, you want to trade for Anthony Richardson, so be it. Like, whatever you feel like, there's no reason for me to tell you how to feel as a fan and what you want to see. Like, I just give you my opinion on what I think, and then you have your opinion. So it's not, always welcome there. Reverend said, not firing Evero was the biggest mistake we made this offseason, especially considering this was the last year of his contract, not to mention Saleh and Wilkes. Yes, to all that, man. It is a head scratcher. It's one of those where it's like, to me, you feel like he's too nice in a way. And I know he's made some tough decisions, but it just feels like there's part of him that's too nice. And he probably sat back and said, well, man, I'm going to feel really bad if I let go of Evero. I do believe in him. The players believe in him. It would have been tough. Like, don't get me wrong, letting go of Evero, and I think part of the reason that he decided to retain him is because he doesn't have to coach that side. He doesn't have to be involved. I think in his mind, he's kind of drinking from a fire hydrant, fire hose to a certain extent, being the head coach and the OC and managing all this other stuff. And when you have someone who's established as a DC, whether they're good or not, they at least know how to run their program and do what they want to do on the defensive side of the ball. You sit back and say, okay, man, I'm going to let you go do what you got to do on that side. I'll give you a little bit of influence, but I'm not going to like oversee it or be as heavily involved. And that's something that we needed. And maybe Canales just said, I don't feel like bringing in a new DC, having to establish into my ways. But there were guys, and yeah, to your point, there was guys that were available, guys that could have fit the mold a little bit more. So it's wild. Crazy stat from C3 Panthers that since the start of last season, Derrick Henry rushed for more yards per carry than Young's yards per Oh, that one I can't help but laugh a little bit. That's tough, man. Derrick Henry's good, but like, yeah, his yard per pass attempt is very low. Completion percentage, low. Like you just start adding these things up and you look at the numbers and you're like, okay, man, eventually when is this going to happen? We are very far into this experiment. And like I said, there's a lot of quarterbacks that don't get this long. So I still think it's a big year. And there's a lot for him to still prove. I mean, to me, I just don't think we can go. He's going to have to put on enough of a performance to where it's just hands down. Like we can't ride this 7-8 win streak, not win streak, but like 7-8 games, get, slew of games like we did last year going into the offseason when it doesn't matter. Because what we have been shown with Bryce Young and Dave Canales is when the games matter, team isn't there. Like we aren't able to produce. We're going to dig our hole so deep, then we're going to decide when we're 2-5 or 1-7. Okay, maybe now's time to play some good football. And oh, great, we're going to get to 4 wins or 5 wins, and we're going to look really competitive. We're also going to look good against the team that's going to the playoffs. But guess what? We're not going to the playoffs, but it's okay because next year we're going to build off of this. There's nothing that's being built off of. It's just not. Oh, man. Just said, I remember when we first hired Canales, he said Evero's defense gave him, headaches as an OC, and that's why he begged him. So, oh man, maybe that was our red flag from the start, that an Ejiro Evero defense gave Dave Canales headaches. Maybe that's why this whole thing is a disaster. Because we have 2 pretty crappy coordinators. He's the head coach, but coordinator calling plays. Maybe that's where this whole thing stemmed from. All right, folks, and it is late. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we'll be back as we always are after every game. We will not be live should the Panthers continue to be able to play on Monday Night Football. If they don't get bumped against San Francisco, I don't think they will, but we will not be live after that game. But we will be live after every game on Sunday. We also have all Panthers content during the week. About 2 to 3 episodes in the game previews as well. Unfortunately, I did pick the Panthers to win this week over New England. I will hold my head down and say that sucked. So, yeah. As we close it out, Brad says Evero has been trying to leave for the past 2 years. Yeah, he has been interviewing or tried to interview, and other teams wanted him as the defensive coordinator even, and Panthers wouldn't let him go. So I feel like this is it. Unless we see some miraculous comeback, I think this is it. Like, we got some issues if Canales is still here and chooses to bring back Evero, and we still see what we're seeing today. So, yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have